It's a do or die weekend for Alabama and maybe our starting quarterback.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA's radio network. Luke Robinson, that's me. Bama Online's Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Thank you, everydayers, for joining us every day. And you newbies, welcome. We love you. Send us your tired, your huddled masses, your Alabama fans yearning for a victory. I just made that up, and that wasn't bad.
Pretty good. Not bad.
Jimmy, it's a do or die weekend. It really is. For Alabama, I mean, the playoffs have started for Alabama. They're in the playoffs right now, and if you lose, you're out. I think that's very fair. I guess there's a scenario where Alabama can go 9-3 and get in. I just don't think that would happen.
It could happen. It would take a series. It would take a series of things, but
unfortunate events for everybody.
Well, I mean, it would be fun. It would, but yeah, I mean, I think this is the type of year where it could happen. And how about this? I'll predict this because this is going out a little bit of a limb. Whether it's Alabama or not, I bet you when the team that's left out, like the team that just missed it by one spot, that'll be a 9-3 football team.
Probably. That's fair.
Yeah.
But regardless.
Yes.
Big weekend for the Tide. Look, Missouri, everybody's been talking about Jalen Milroe being banged up. He's not even on the injury report as probable. I mean, it's like he's in, fine. Okay, great. I mean, this is a redemption opportunity for Jalen Milroe if there ever was one. That's awesome. Missouri probably going to be without Cook and probably without Nate Noel, their leading rusher. And that is a bad thing for them, considering their backup did not look good against Auburn at all. I love their wide receivers, but if you don't, I mean, it's sort of like I like Auburn's wide receivers. If you don't have a quarterback throw it to them, it doesn't matter. And this is a game. This is a get-right game for Alabama, and they need to get right. The other good news about this, about potential injuries and potentially then leading to a game that gets out of control, is that maybe you do get to put some backups in. You do get some guys some extra experience in the defensive backfield. And silly me, maybe at quarterback.
It would be nice for Alabama to get a lead and play Ty a lot in the second half because Alabama's got a lead and can sit and rest Jalen, and Ty can get some work because the games have been so close. I think we've gotten less work for the number 2 quarterback than we would like, period, having nothing to do with the way Milroe's playing. So I'm sure that's true. I'm not quite as I don't feel like the staff quite feels like a lot of fans do about quarterback. I mean, I do think Milroe's got to play better this week, regardless of his health, or if his health is 100%, 90%, 80%, doesn't matter. He's got to play better this week. But things are lined up for him to play better. It's at home. You're playing a lesser defense. You don't have that crazy environment. I do think Jalen has played well when people start really doubting him. He sort of responds to that. So I think he'll be just fine. And I don't really think his job's in real danger unless he strings together games like what happened in Knoxville. And I don't really believe that will happen. But if it does, it's just like any other position. I mean, if you just pick a guy. I mean, if you stick Ryan out there. If Ryan Williams drops his next 15 targets, he drops them, he's going to play less and get less targets. I mean, I think that's just kind of true of anyone. But
the ball would have to be within 15 feet of him to be able to drop it, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if Ryan started playing poorly, he's out. But, he's not going to do that. And I don't think Jalen's going to. But anyway, I think Jalen's going to play better. And it won't stop the noise that's out there, but whatever will.
Here's the thing. I think I'm like you. I think Jalen has a longer leash with the coaching staff. He has a very, 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 very short leash with the fans. It wouldn't shock me at all if Alabama, let's say Alabama gets the ball first or on their first drive, first couple of drives, Alabama goes 3 and out, then gets 1 first down and punts again. You're telling me people won't be booing?
There'll be boos.
They will be.
I think there'll be boos. There was even some boos at the end of the first half against South Carolina in the stadium. Not like substantial to the point it was a news story, or I don't know what could be heard on TV, but in the stadium, you definitely heard some level of it.
They say in boo or boo earns. That's a Simpson reference.
But that was South Carolina. I didn't even play that Tennessee game yet. But yeah, I think, Jalen's the starting quarterback of this football team. And he didn't win the job in fall camp. Yeah. He's the quarterback of this football team, and it's going to take quite a bit to root him out of that spot. But again, I think all this conversation is fine, and it's necessary because he played poorly, terribly, frankly, in Knoxville. He really did. I don't think that's going to happen this Saturday. I think he's going to play better, and this will be less of an issue going into clearly what will become the biggest game of the year in Baton Rouge, assuming Alabama can slip past Missouri this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. It will be the biggest game of the year if Alabama gets by, and regardless of what LSU does against A&M, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. It'll still be big. If LSU loses to A&M, then LSU's got the 2 losses. Then LSU's playing for their playoff lives, just like Alabama is. If they lose, if A&M wins against, if LSU beats A&M, LSU's going to be not only highly ranked, Luke, LSU's one of the stories in the country if they beat A&M. They'll be ranked something like 5th or 6th, and with really high metrics across the board, they will be considered a lock of sorts for the playoff at that point. And Alabama's got to stroll into Baton Rouge and beat a team that's got that sort of credibility. So Alabama LSU is going to be huge no matter what happens in LSU A&M. Like I said, even if LSU loses, then they have their second loss. Alabama's got their second loss. It's kind of like a winner of that game survives the race for the playoff. The loser's out. That will be the story. I won't 100% agree that the loser's out. I will just think that almost certainly the loser's out, but not definitely.
FanDuel. Got some NFL tonight, and if you're an NFL fan, you can start the season with a big turnaround on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. That's FanDuel. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. Now, that's guaranteed. That's a FanDuel and Luke Robinson guarantee when you place your first $5 bet. That's only at FanDuel.com, which I've told you several times is America's #1 sportsbook. Okay, so let's do a little predictions for players here. Okay. I haven't seen yet the over-unders for, I'm going to make my own over-unders for some of these players. Ryan Williams, over-under 90 yards. Receiver.
Over.
I agree. In fact, I think way over.
Yeah, I think I see a monster game for Ryan or Jeremy or both. How about both over 100 yards?
Whoa, okay. Well, then this makes them over under 250 for Jalen Milroe passing.
I like over for Saturday. Okay. Well, right at it. 300 seems like a lot.
Yeah, he had 300 against – did he have 300 against Georgia?
I think 285 off the top of my head.
Something close enough.
He might have. That stat still blows me away. People think I'm making it up, but I didn't. I read it, I think, from Cole Kubelik, but it might have been somewhere else. It's true. Jalen Milroe had the most productive day throwing and running as a quarterback against a top 5 team ever.
Wow. Boy, that's hard to imagine because I remember Louisville when they had, who's the quarterback that won the Heisman? The quarterback at Baltimore now. God, why am I blanking?
Lamar
Jackson. And then and Clemson had Deshaun Watson, And you're telling me neither one of them put on a show like that at Clemson that game that was crazy good?
I'll find the stat again and we'll put it up. I might have been exaggerating. It might have been one of the top 5 performances against a top 5 team. But
that sounds better.
I think it was number 1. And again, it's taking into account passing, running, and touchdowns responsible for against a top 5 team in the AP poll. But regardless of that, I guess the point is I like Jalen to throw for around 250 plus.
So I said 250 and you go over. I mean, well, it makes sense if you have both of them going over 100, then
yeah. Yeah, but they sort of take up all the oxygen in the room right now. One of my issues is not getting the other receivers involved. Although I think in Knoxville, Kendrick Law, I thought probably had his quietly, because no one's going to talk about it, but Kendrick Law had one of his best games at Tennessee, and I thought that was good. We do need to get other receivers involved. Cole Adams, the game before caught a couple balls.
Okay, how about either Jam Miller or Justice Haynes over 75 yards rushing? And I think it's important, and this is why Alabama's going to have, I believe is Derek Cooper coming in this weekend, the top running back as a junior. He's coming in this weekend.
I think it's this weekend. Yeah.
And he's from down in the Fort Lauderdale area, number 1 running back for next year. I mean, you want to let them know that your running backs are going to get to touch the ball and run the ball.
I so want to say Haynes over 75, Miller over 75. Somebody's got 100 yards. I so want to, but I have come full circle. Well, full circle. Now I'm doing your 180 joke thing. I've gone 180. I'm going 180.
On a complete 190.
I've done a complete 190. I took out my protractor and I measured it. I've done a 193. Hey, and it's funny that we're playing Missouri because I'm going to say you're going to have to show me. I'm the show me state on this. They're going to, before I believe in getting production out of that running back spot, you're just going to have to show me. I'm tired of predicting it and being wrong.
I hear you, and I'm going to go under too. And I guess what you sell then is see how much help we need.
We need a back. Yeah. And see, I try not to blame it on Jamin Justice, although I do think they are a little responsible. I mean, like I pointed out in the South Carolina game, Cole Adams only got 2 touches in that game, but the guy, he did something with it, didn't he? Both times he got his opportunities, he was like making a play.
And he's also got a winter soldier arm. I mean, like, does that not bother anybody that he's back there catching punts? My dad, a long time ago, fell off the loading dock at Robinson Foundry. And he cannot bend his elbow past like right here. And that's what it looks like to me. Like Cole Adams can't bend his elbow and he's sort of like corralling them. It scares me that he's got a winter soldier arm trying to catch punts. That doesn't scare anybody else.
It is a big old break. Cole weighs 185, 190. That brace weighs like 130. I mean, I don't know. I
need
agree.
to put Cole at fullback with that brace.
That's a big old brace. But my point to Jamin Justice is look what Cole did with his 2 targets. And I know it's a different position doing different things. I'm just telling Jamin Justice, yes, the play calling is questionable. Yes, Milroe's keeping it on these RPOs. Yes, so much of your job is dependent on the blocking that's going on in front of you. But make something happen. I bet Ashton Genty doesn't always have
no.
He makes a lot of it on his own. You brought up an interesting thing that.
Okay, so Jalen Milroe, he does tend to keep it more on the options. It seems like.
Yeah.
Do you think any of that has to do with Jalen feeling like he's got to get his? I'm not accusing him. I'm asking a simple question. I mean, let's be real. I mean, he's got this whole Lank brand. He's got, he was making a run at the Heisman. He was doing all these things. And I think the irony is, if that is the case, if he would be more, okay, let's just stay in within the moment and worry about what's best for the play, I think he would look better.
Yeah, I got 2.
If that is the case, I'm not accusing him.
Yeah, 2 conflicting thoughts here. I do think there could be some of that, but hey, that's also sort of laudable. The hey, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Hey, I'm the badass. I'm the best player. I'm the most dynamic player in college football. I'm going to keep this ball. That's sort of laudable. It's not a solely selfish thing. I mean, it's sort of laudable. You want the quarterback to have that level of confidence. But number two, and this is what makes the most sense to me, we run the crap out of those plays. We run those RPOs where Milroe can keep it or pitch it. And again, I was hoping as the season would go on, they would become more true RPOs where there was a pass element to it. But we run the heck out of them. And I know Nick Sheridan right now isn't real popular with the fans, but I refuse to believe this. I would think if Milroe consistently made the wrong read, if Milroe was consistently keeping it when he should have pitched it, I don't think we'd run the play as often. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think Nick Sheridan is that. I don't think Sheridan's that dumb where he'd be like, hey, you know that thing that we do that doesn't really work right? Let's do it even more because we run the heck out of that. So I'm thinking on that reason alone, Milroe's making the right read most of the time. I said that the other day on the BOL board, and somebody said, yeah, but that play where Miller lost 7 yards. Yeah, he did make a bad read there. I didn't say he made the right read 100% of the time. I say most of the time he gets it right, and that's why it's probably the most called play we have in the playbook.
All right, let's get to predictions. I'm going to make this easy on you, Jimmy. I'm going Bama 40-14. I know it sounds like a blowout. I know.
Wow.
But I think this is a get-right game.
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right. I think this is a get-right game. And I think I'm hoping the fans show up and are supportive and loud. And I think Alabama may get off to a good start. My prediction 100% would be different. Alabama's still winning, but would be different if Missouri had its starting running back and quarterback healthy. They don't, so I'm going 40-14 Bama.
Yeah, you surprised me. You know, that result wouldn't surprise me because I think Alabama's better than Missouri, and 40-14 sort of describes how much better Alabama is than Missouri. I believe that. I'm going to pick a closer game, though, based on the fact that post-Georgia, there's a pattern here. I didn't think Alabama played great against Vanderbilt. I didn't think Alabama played great against South Carolina. They certainly didn't play great against Tennessee. This will be, without that bye week, I just think Alabama's stuck on how they played against Vandy, South Carolina, and Tennessee. I think it'll be the fourth game in a row that looks like the last three. And I think LSU is the get-right game. I think Alabama does win, and Milroe will be a big part of why Alabama was able to find a way to win. And I kind of think it'll be that sort of game, even with Drew Pine at quarterback, even with the second team running back. I have Alabama winning 27-17.
Okay. I like the way yours plays out better if Alabama's get-right game is LSU. And it should be noted, Alabama played at least great for a half against Georgia after a bye week. So, maybe.
I think the bye week is where everyone that's banged up is better and the mindset changes and it's truly the stretch drive and truly the team starts believing, hey, as sideways as everything has been, all you have to do is have a good November and you're in the playoff. And one of those November games against Mercer, one of them's against Auburn where you're going to be a big home favorite. It's really, to me, almost a 2-game season at Baton Rouge and at Norman. And I hope, maybe some of this is wish casting, but I think Alabama might play their best game of the year in Baton Rouge, and it's probably going to take that to win.
In the cold November games. Sorry about that. Couldn't resist.
Isn't there a line in that song, even rockers end up walking? I think rockers can end up walking out. They hear that again.
What is Prize Picks? Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Look, thanks for being a prize value member at Prize Picks. If you're not already, well, you need to jump on board. It is awesome. Look, you can go and win up to 100 times your money. I've already told you this. Prize Picks is the best way to get in action over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select players' projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your picks. You will love this. Prize Picks is just awesome. And for instance, the Prize Picks recently had Justin Jefferson more or less 83.5 yards. That seems like a lock, doesn't it? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You need to go follow Prize Picks and Prize Picks, because at Prize Picks, you can run your game. Oh God. I did it twice. I don't know. In the history of live reads, that was my clunkiest.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
I thought it was all right. I was interested. I was like, man, Prize Picks is kind of back.
It's bussin'. That's what the kids say. Anywho, SEC thoughts this weekend. The game of the weekend, if you're not a Bama fan, is LSU and Texas A&M. And look, A&M is a slight favorite. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what I want to happen. I feel like A&M is going to win. I feel like that crowd's going to be boisterous.
Yep.
And I feel like LSU's been on some borrowed time. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to pick A&M to win, but it's going to be close.
Agreed. I think A&M wins this game too, and I think it is going to be close. I think it's going to be a fun game. And, hey, I'm going Soul home crowd here. As a matter of fact, I think I heard on Josh Pate's show something like the home team has won this game about 6, 7, 8 years in a row or something.
That's right.
So, yeah, I like A&M at home. If this game was in Baton Rouge, I'd pick it the other way. Because I'm picking LSU to come up short does not change how I feel about how difficult it's going to be for Alabama to beat LSU in Baton Rouge. That's a really good football team.
You could make the argument that if LSU wins, it may be easier for Bama because LSU is sort of like, okay, we got money in the bank, and Alabama's the desperate,
Correct.
But if they're both two-loss teams, they both come in having to have it.
That's exactly right. So, it won't affect how I feel about Alabama's game in Baton Rouge. But, yeah, I like A&M in a close one. Mike Elko doing one heck of a job at A&M, but they got some good players. Connor Wigman kind of almost quietly becoming one of the better quarterbacks in the country because he got off to a poor start, then he got hurt, and everybody wrote him off. He's playing pretty well right now. He's pretty good.
All right, so Texas at Vandy, could it happen again?
No, but here's my thing about that game. Texas is going to win, and Texas is going to win this game by the score that Alabama should have won the game by. I think this is what the Alabama-Vanderbilt game should have looked like. But Texas isn't going to win this game 49-3. This isn't old Vandy. I think Texas plays really, really well and wins 34-14. I think Texas plays great and wins by 20. And that's what Alabama should have done. They should have played great and won by about 20 because that's about as much as you're going to beat Vanderbilt in Nashville this year because they're a good team.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Auburn, Kentucky.
Go either way.
A game and only a mother could love. I understand, but it is. It's not pretty. Kentucky is a 2.5-point favorite, and that line seems both low and high. I don't understand how.
I could see either team winning this game. I think on a neutral field, I would like Auburn. I think at Auburn, I would like Auburn. But it's in Lexington, and hey, I'm a home field guy when it comes to this sport and this league, especially. Kentucky at home finds a way. Late, 4 quarters, 60 minutes. Kentucky in the final minute wins this game. Okay,
I hear what you're saying, and I'm tempted to pick Auburn because I'm bad at picking, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. But I do feel a little bit like, okay, this is Kentucky's. If you're a Kentucky fan, you're like, okay, we got to win this one. Auburn hadn't beaten a Power 5 opponent in God knows how long. Their quarterback's not very good. Now, neither is Griff Vandervrock. I mean, I know that's not his name, but I'm not going to call it the right name until he plays better. They do have Barry Brown, who's a really good player. I would love him at Alabama, but their leading rusher may be out. I think I'm going to pick Auburn to win slightly and with not a lot of confidence. But it's a huge game. I think if you're a Kentucky fan, you're like, all right, we'll show up to this one, but you better win this one.
Kentucky fans, to me, are almost surprisingly or shockingly frustrated with Stoops.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was y'all's coach for life and probably deserves to be and has earned that. I mean, some Kentucky fans act like he's hot seating himself, and maybe so. I just don't know their situation. I'm just surprised to see the negativity. Even SEC Shorts is joking about, that Kentucky fans want Stoops to be fired. But someone's going to feel a little bit better about their program after Saturday. I think it's Kentucky at home, and we'll see. Auburn is due to win a game. Auburn's been so close. They're due to win a game like this. But no, I'll just go with Kentucky because it's in Lexington. If this was in Auburn, I'd pick it the other way.
All right, and just one that's kind of interesting is the Notre Dame Navy game. I mean, look, there's Oregon, Illinois, which isn't awful. There's some other games that are Penn State at Wisconsin. Let me tell you that's going to be one Alabama fans want to keep an eye on.
And I picked on the BOL game that we do. I picked Wisconsin to win that game straight up. Wisconsin, for those that rightfully just stop paying attention to them, they have won their last 3 games 76-13, I think, or maybe worse than that. I mean, it's a lot to a little over their last 3 games, something like that. But anyway, Wisconsin playing really well, and Penn State, I thought they would lose at USC. They almost did. Wisconsin just playing really well. I think Wisconsin wins the game outright, and boy, Alabama's season looks a little – if Alabama beats Missouri and looks pretty good and Wisconsin beats Penn State, Alabama's season looks a little different, frankly.
Agreed. All right. Navy, Notre Dame real quick. I think Notre Dame.
Notre Dame too, but one thing that makes Navy dangerous, that quarterback's sort of legit, not like in the NFL sense, not in that he could play in the SEC sense, but most of the time Navy has a wide receiver playing quarterback. No, this dude's a quarterback.
He's a quarterback. Yeah, he's a dude.
He can throw the ball, and I like that kid. It's not Heisman level. Let's call him this. There is some Diego Pavia to his game, and I want for those who haven't seen him, I think this is pretty funny. This kid is probably a future Navy SEAL, the Notre Dame quarterback. He looks like a guy that would play a Navy SEAL guy in a movie.
Yeah.
Notice about him. He looks like a movie star playing a Navy SEAL guy, but he's probably is literally going to be a SEAL. So I find that fascinating.
Not a literal SEAL.
No, I think he might be a Navy SEAL one day.
Loose seal. That's an Arrested Development. Anyway, all right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back after the game on Saturday. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.